I'm dripped up in this residence, we got some new apparel. I'm grinding daily, even days when I ain't feeling well. Man, ain't nobody gotta pay me just to keep it thorough. Just tell them royalty statements keep coming through the mail. I don't ask for no favors, I do the shit myself. I had ambition since a youngin', baby, you could tell. I'm fresh and some clean.
Welcome to the Athletes Group Chat. We got my dog and my fellow friend Mackenzie Dern here, getting ready for a fight in Abu Dhabi. How is training coming for you right now?
Man, well, first, thanks for having me.
Of course.
It's always good to see you. But yeah, training's been going good. Finally fighting for a belt, so that's like super crazy for me. The champion, she went up a division, and they were talking about it like, oh, it's gonna be an interim belt, but nothing was getting confirmed. And I'm like, man, when is it gonna be? I wanted to fight maybe in Brazil. I think October 11th. Like, it's coming up pretty soon. They're like, no, you're not gonna fight in Brazil. And I'm like, man, so you gotta give me. It's so hard to
take
train.
You back home, of course. So it's Verna, right?
Verna, yeah.
It's a rematch. You guys have fought before. What was that like, fighting her the first time?
I mean, it was a war. It was definitely a war. She broke my nose. But we're both grapplers, So we stayed like the whole 3 rounds standing up. I kind of tried to take her down a little bit. She didn't want to go to the ground. And yeah, we just like basically brawled it out the whole time. So, I mean, it was definitely a war. But I won, so that's good too.
That's always good when obviously you get the W at the end of a competition.
Yeah.
What can you, I guess, we always talk about a competitive nature. What would your, I guess, outlook on this second fight look like for you? Is it you're trying to KO them? Are you trying to get them a submission? Like, what is, or is it going the distance for you? What do you think your predictions would be for this fight?
I mean, I think the goal is just for us to win like in every single area. I think the fact that it's to be a champion, it put a lot more pressure to be like, okay, like, of course a win is a win, but like, obviously the strategy is just to win each round at a time, focus on each round. Okay, just win this round, win the next round, win the third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah, stacking the bricks one at a time.
But I mean, to be the champion, it's definitely like I want to put that like I want to stamp my spot on the division, and say like, hey, I'm beating her no matter where she takes it, if it's to the ground, if it's striking, if it's a stalling out game on the cage where they're just trying to hold you, you know what I mean? If we need to like show heart and war, I want to be able to beat her in every area, you know what I mean? Just so there's like no, I don't want to get it to where like, no split decision. That's what I don't want, you know what I mean? I don't want to win the belt by split decision,
I mean, you mentioned this is a championship fight. What would you say, I guess, training from when you first started UFC to, now training as, it's getting ready to be a championship fight? Does this training change for you? Is it the same? What is your approach to the game? What does that look like for you right now as you lead up for this fight?
Oh, it changed. It's totally different. I'm kind of like freaking out with my coaches. I'm like, man, you guys are always like, you got to be training harder and this and that and always on top of me. I've always been someone who kind of trains like last minute for stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, always like, oh, we'll accept this fight and then like I'm, vacationing or maybe I was partying or something. They're like, you got to get back in the gym, And I'm like, oh, shoot. So I guess we kind of always trying to pack stuff in with the training. But this camp has just been going, I guess you could just say I've been training smarter, and I think with the experience of time, you're not trying to make up so much work. Now I kind of got my mind, calmer. We're not working on basic stuff anymore. Now we're working on more, advanced stuff. So it's a little bit, the training is like, I'm not getting injured during training. I'm not, the camp is just like going smoothly, And I'm like, you guys think I'm training enough? Like, yeah, you're training like perfect. You know what I mean? So
awesome.
It's different to see like a smarter and more like mature fighter in like how the champions, I imagine they train. It's just the camp is easier.
Are you still going as hard, than when you were going 4 months ago? You're probably less than a month away from the actual fight. How does training change as you get closer to that fight?
Yeah, I started this camp like, it's an 8-week camp. So like 4 months ago or 4 weeks ago. So I, like this, not this week, but the last week, I think was kind of like our slow week, I was still training and everything, but we kind of just like pulled back on the reins a little bit.
So it's trying to make sure you peak at the right moment before the fight.
Exactly. Just because it's like, you're going. And I was kind of telling my coaches, like, I'm feeling good, but I feel like we're almost like at the level where maybe I could get injured like any moment.
Come back. No, that's good that you're able to tell your team, because I don't know if in football, they want to go balls to the wall every single time. Monday hard, Tuesday hard, Wednesday. might as well go hard on Thursday, and then we'll relax on Friday and Sunday and get ready for the game. I do want to ask you, because I know a lot of, not only myself, a lot of the fans, I guess, call this as a weird pleasure to be able to walk into a cage, get punched on, get kicked, pass out from being choked out. Why do you love it so much?
Wow. I mean, you know, honestly, that's like the only thing not the only thing, but I mean, that's what I know what to do. You know, I didn't go to college, so I was never really like the best at school studying like math or nothing. You know, I mean, I've been training since I'm 3 years old. You know, so I mean, what I know to do is like to fight. You know, of course it was jiu-jitsu, but I mean, I fought in jiu-jitsu like to be the best in the world. You know, so it's like more just the drive to be a champion, you know, to be the best at something, you know, and like that's the competitiveness, you know. So it wasn't even really about money. I think if you're fighting for money, you're like in the wrong sport, you know. There's like, unless you're like McGregor or, you know, like a Ronda Rousey or something, it's like very few of the athletes will get like that amazing, you know, money in return, you know. But I think if you're in it for, at least I'm in it for, just to say like, hey, yeah, I was the best in the world, you know. I became the best in the world. So it's a lot of like work and just for that title, you know, the competitiveness.
No doubt, no doubt. You mentioned work. I know we have Pops here today. I want to talk about the journey a little bit. I've looked at Wikipedia. I looked at all your stats. You were a champion since you were probably 7, 8 years old. You're talking about a champion in Beijing, Brazil, the United States. I'm talking about, I didn't see anything less than a bronze, you know, when you look at, you know, all your statistics and whatnot. What did you put in to even get to that point? Was it, you know, the advice from Pops? Was it, you know, he was saying flip those tires in the backyard? Or you guys sparring every single day? Like, as a kid, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I started when I was 3, so it's kind of like just a lifestyle, you know. You didn't really, it was just your routine, you know. So I think it was very natural for me, like movements that, you know, for like a lot of older kids, they're learning how to like get close to people, you know, and get that aggression. For me at 3, we're like, you know, you're jumping on your dad's back, and, you know, like rough play. And for me, that was like always natural, you know. So I think nowadays I see the girls divisions, you know, the little kids, it's girls against girls. When I was competing at like 6 years old, it was girls and boys. So I was like beating up on the boys, you know what I mean?
Which is crazy.
So it's like very like, it's different, you know, even though the level today's is way higher than back then, you know. Back then there weren't that many kids doing it, but you're still a girl fighting boys, and you like get that competitiveness. And like my dad would beat me up like every day, you know what I mean? So it's like no girl could give me the type of challenge that my dad would give me inside, like, you know, just every single day on training, you know. And then it's like we would do everything together, like train together, work out together. About like 13 we started working out. And so we'd like go to school, he'd pick me up, we'd go work out together, then train, and then it's just that travel together, do seminar. He always did seminars, and I would help him on seminars. So you would learn how to teach people, and that's a whole different thing. You know, you can compete, you can be a good competitor and not know how to teach, you know, and be a good teacher and not be a good competitor, you know. So it's like you're teaching and you see these little details, and you're like, oh, I didn't know why I do this. You know, I got to remember to do that, you know. And so that's something that he just helped me. I think that's what like kind of perfected my style and my game to have so much success as a kid, and especially having that pressure of like my dad being this crazy black belt and famous. I was like, oh gosh, I really want to do good and just want to make him proud. And all the cameras were on me and the jiu-jitsu community, you know, and that's what got me into the UFC. Like, wait, I didn't have one fight in MMA, and the UFC's like, yeah, we'll sign you. And I'm like, really?
Like
I don't even know if I like to get punched in the face yet. You know
Talk about good parenting. I mean, it's always great to, you know, have a father figure in the house to be able to push you. Was UFC or fighting in general something you wanted, or was that something Pops pushed on you?
Oh no, he didn't want it. Neither of us. Actually, he was.
Nobody want to see their little girl fight. No,
not even me.
I have a daughter now. I'm like, I see the toughness in her. She wants to kick her brother, punch her. I'm like, stop it, girly girl, relax.
You know, like it's good that they can we can defend ourselves, you know. But I mean, to see that, like to imagine that someone could punch them back or to hurt them, you're like, no, you know, you don't want to see that. But yeah, I mean, I was never like thinking about MMA. I was always just jiu-jitsu. I had like a really good life with jiu-jitsu. You travel around the world. I was probably one of the first women in jiu-jitsu to like live off of sponsors and
That's
like
awesome.
super fights and stuff like that, you know, like money from competition. So
Mm-hmm.
for me to go to the UFC and like I've never like been into
It's an
punching and stuff like
eye-opener.
that, I'm like, man, I'm gonna be like a white belt again, you know. And it's hard. It's really humbling, you know. And then my dad was always against it. The same thing, you know.
Yeah.
But man, like I started training MMA just to help my jiu-jitsu to get one more training in the day. Um, and all the guys at the gym, no, you should do it. You should do it. No one has like grappling like you. No one does arm bars like
And that's
you.
the guy saying this.
Yeah, all the guys at the gym, you know, they're like, you know, you could do really good. And then Sean Shelby from the UFC, he was always
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, talking to me. You don't want to go to the UFC. You don't want to go to the UFC.
Planting that seed.
I was like, okay, I'll try it. I was like, I mean, I think I was 22 years old. I was like, I'll try it. If I don't like it, I'll go back to jiu-jitsu, you know. But then I fell in love. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
wrap. It definitely be like that. So, what is Mackenzie Dern chasing today? Is it the championship belt? Is it just the I want to get in the ring and just beat girls up and choke them out? Like, what are you chasing? I mean, you're at a point of career where some people question, does she still have it? Is she just chasing a belt so she can just retire on the high? Like, what are you chasing right now?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely chasing the belt. I want to like defend it if I can. I would like to go up in the to like go up a division eventually, you know, because I want to like go to bodybuilding, you know. So
Really?
yeah, like kind of when I retire from fighting, I want to go into bodybuilding, you know.
Awesome.
So that way I can still keep competing and not get punched in the face
For
and just like, you
real.
know, I've worked out my whole life, you know. So that's kind of something that you can, and just kind of like it kind of takes the same fan base that I have, you know, and they like to follow
Have
that.
you ever thought about going into boxing? I know we were, talking
Oh, yeah.
before the show. I saw we were talking about Holly Holm and the career she's had, and now she's transitioning to boxing. Is that something you're considering? Maybe after you win, the belt, you defend it for 5 straight times like a John Jones. Like,
Oh,
is it just the you want to train, or you want to maybe try some other things?
I mean,
whatnot?
unless it's like against a YouTuber for a lot of money. You know what I
I
mean?
feel that. That's
You
the
know
way
what I mean?
the marketing, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Unless it's like something like that, but like to be training like at the highest level you need, you
Yeah.
know. I'm ready to like not right now, I'm not ready now. But once I defend my belt or, get the belt, defend it, and accomplish everything I want to accomplish, then spend more time with my daughter and
I
just,
feel that.
live the life, live the life. Athletes, it's like, man, we spend our prime years like just training.
That's
So
it. You just want the break, mentally and
Yes.
physically. I definitely agree with that. And you mentioned the kids, and I know we talked about our little ones. Do you recommend kids getting into MMA and UFC fighting at an early age?
Oh man, I mean, I recommend kids learning like martial arts at a young at an early age. So even like kickboxing and like taekwondo, jiu-jitsu, especially jiu-jitsu, wrestling. If they can get into like all of them, I think that's great, because I think eventually when they're older, like 18, man, they're gonna be like little monsters, and I super
Energetic, just
yeah.
causing problems.
Yeah.
What lessons would you say it taught you? Being a young fighter, a young martial artist, or jujitsu. What lessons or values or principles did that teach you? As you grew up, that you still apply in everyday life today.
I think like the biggest thing is being humble. That's the biggest thing just from, especially with jiu-jitsu, how much we win and lose, It's like MMA, your record is very important, So you could have like, the big thing is to have like a 0 for the losses, no losses, and like maybe 10 wins. But jiu-jitsu, you fight every weekend and you fight maybe the same person like twice in the same competition, the weight division, and then again in the absolute division. So it's like, it's impossible for you to not lose, So it just keeps you humble all the time, And then in training too, you get humbled every single day. So I think being humble, and then just, like the hard work, like the ups and downs, like the knowing the process, it's all part of the process.
Yeah.
You can't like give up when it's not going the way you want,
Mm-hmm.
Like with injuries. I've been like had to pull out of competitions like a week before because of injuries and stuff, like ACLs and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
my
Like, the big
gosh.
injuries where you're like 5 months out, 6 months out, and you're like, man, seeing everyone like pass you, people that you were beating, and you're like, what the heck, and it's hard.
I've always wondered that, because I've seen so many different injuries. You mentioned ACL, that's a big one. I agree. Somebody jamming their baby toe, or spraining their wrist. Like, why do fighters back out? Do you think that's a money thing? Do you think that's actually like, I'm scared to lose? Like, are we so far past fighters, I guess, being mentally tough? Like, I'm gonna fight them whether my wrist hurt or my head hurt. Like,
Yeah.
like what do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. It's like a money thing. It's the record thing. It's like, you know, being able to say no and know that the UFC will find a different person to put in your place, like that. You know what I mean? And
Do you think that's fair to the fans?
I mean, I think that the fans, they love you and hate you like this. You know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
like their memory is so short. You're only as good as your last fight. You know what I mean? So if you lose that one, they don't care if you had an injury. They don't care what your problems are at home. They're like, for you, if you're in there, you're perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you don't do that good, like, oh, I'm never gonna bet on him again. He's probably not gonna fight again. And he's just not good at all. So. And then their next fight, if you win, like, oh no, he's the best, and then they're back on the train with you, you know what I mean? So I think in the end of the day, there's just so many fighters that it's like, if you do your job, and I fought like 3 times when I shouldn't have fought, and I was like, I fought like 4 months after my daughter was born. I probably shouldn't have made that fight. I shouldn't have fought that.
Did you win?
I lost. That was my first loss in my career. And my whole my career took a different path, after that. And even just like not having any losses, that's a different vibe that you give for your opponents. They get more scared. Ronda Rousey went her whole career like all the way to the belt with no losses. You know what I mean? And that's like every time you're like fighting someone who's undefeated, that gives you more pressure.
Wakes you up. Make sure you got your seat buckled up, everything.
Sure.
You got your lunch pail with you. Like you got to pack the bag.
Yeah.
You mentioned the fighting right after your pregnancy. I want to backpedal a little bit there. Like, what was it like being a female UFC fighter, getting pregnant, and like that entire year and a half? What was that year and a half process like in the UFC? Like,
it was so hard because my last fight, I had only done 2 fights in the UFC. So I fought my debut on March, and then I fought in Brazil on May. And in May, I didn't make weight. And then I got pregnant. And so in May, I won the fight, but everyone was like, oh, she's not professional. And it's just like, I had like a bad image, as in.
Because you got pregnant?
No, because I didn't make weight.
Oh my gosh.
Because I didn't make weight, So I was like, but I was still new to it, I didn't like get the whole, like in jiu-jitsu, we weigh in and then we go and fight exactly at that weight, we don't have.
It's not like boxing where they be cutting 60
then,
pounds and they gain 60 pounds. I got
exactly.
you.
So for me, this whole like weight thing, I wasn't like, I didn't have any control of it. I didn't understand it. And so even though I won, so that kind of helped, I did like a knockdown and then I still submitted the girl. But how I didn't make weight, people were like, oh, she's not professional. And then when I got pregnant, then I looked really unprofessional, They're like, oh, she's definitely not going to come back. So, I mean, for me, I really needed that because I kind of made the transition to MMA when I had accomplished everything in jiu-jitsu that I wanted. So it was like, I was kind of getting a little bit overburned. Is it like
I get what you're saying.
burnt out?
Yeah,
I was getting burnt out just from like all the training and everything like that. I was kind of like, man, I just wanted to take some time off. You know what I mean? So it kind of came at a good time because I basically stayed like the whole 8 months, 9 months without training. I like barely went to the gym.
Yeah,
I was just like
pregnant.
traveling. You know what I mean?
Feeling.
I was just like kind of taking my time, like enjoying pregnancy, basically.
Yeah, you're a mother first now. Like, once that switch cut on, motherhood kicks in.
Exactly. And I was just like, man, I can't believe this is happening. But I was super happy. I always knew I wanted to have kids and be like active. I didn't want to wait to retire and have kids just because I know the example I had with my dad, him always compete. He competes until today. You know what I mean? I already have my granddaughter watches it, or his granddaughter watches him compete, So it's like, I believe there's so much you teach by example, and watching him cut weight. So I was like, okay, I want to teach my daughter by example and not be like, oh, you need to do this, but then I don't do it. You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed the pregnancy. But yeah, in jiu-jitsu, I had like ACL surgeries and all these things. And I always like to come back as soon as possible just to not like have ring rust, but in jiu-jitsu. So in my mind, I thought, okay, I'm going to come back as soon as I can because I don't want to stay too far out. And I'm staying like the whole year just watching everyone talk bad about me, losing followers, losing sponsors.
Wait, you're losing sponsors because you're pregnant?
Yeah.
Hold on. Why like?
Well, because it's MMA is it's a lot of men. Like 90% of my followers are men.
So you lose sponsors, you use followers just because you got pregnant after a win?
Yeah, after
like
win.
You don't, as a mother, you don't get time to have, a maternity leave because it's UFC?
Yeah, if it was like injuries, like I think that I probably wouldn't lose sponsors, like if I had like ACL. But because of pregnancy, I think I think they just didn't believe that I would come back, you know, like, oh, she's probably not going to come back.
I mean, you didn't turn into a cripple or something. You just got pregnant.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean, it's like I said, there's so many new
wow.
fighters, you know what I mean, that are coming up. They probably prefer to invest their money in someone that's going to, like, you know, be more active in that time period, you know. I mean, most sponsors are a year-long sponsors, you know, so they're like, oh, we're good. I'm like, but thankfully I had some savings.
I feel that. Did the sponsors come back after you gave birth and whatnot?
Not right away, but after I got some wins, yeah.
Oh, they're messed up. They could have at least said, like, right when you done, you back to training, like, we'll get you back on, payroll. That's crazy that they waited that long.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But it was good, you know. And then and so I was like, no, I'm gonna get back in. 4 months was crazy. 4 months, like 4 months, okay, if you're fighting at like maybe amateur level, you know, but coming back 4 months at like the highest level of MMA professional fighting, you know, in UFC against like someone crazy, I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm like on weight. I was just happy to be on weight because I'm like, well, at least they're not gonna talk about my weight. But like my joints were all loose, you know, they're rolling, you know, because when like pregnant, just so many hormones. I didn't realize how much better I could become as an athlete, you know. And like a year later after that, I'm like, man, I should have waited a little bit longer. But it's still good.
I mean, you said it best. I mean, when you grow up, you know, around a father that's super competitive, he instills that into you. You feel like you could come back right at the first chance you can come back. So I understand it. I've you know, had a high ankle sprain, and I'm like, oh, like I can move it, or I can play. Like as long as I don't have to ice and stuff, I can go out there and play. So I definitely get, you know, you want to go out there. Mackenzie, I did not know this, and I just recently read it before we came on the pod. And please tell me if you don't want to talk about it, because it's a lot of things going on in the NBA, the NFL, with women having to pay, or men having to pay the child support with their exes and whatnot. And I heard that's something that you're going through.
Yeah.
I would love to have a conversation about this to not even figure out, like, what's the best way do you believe should be gone through when you have a child and you guys, one person is financially able versus the person that isn't? Like, what do you believe a fair, I guess, assessment or delivery should be in that circumstance? Because we always hear it from the man side, and now you're on the opposite side. And I think people need to hear this. And I think we both can have a conversation because we're friends. And we can dial it up, I think, pretty well.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm in like the guy situation. I'm like in your guys' situation. So I totally understand what you guys feel, you know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy for me because like I wouldn't be, maybe because I am financially stable by myself, I'm not the woman who would be like need any money from the guy, you know what I mean? So for me, as long as, I think the most important is being present, you know?
Definitely,
and,
on both sides.
You know, especially if it's like, I'm not against 50-50 custody if the dad wants, you know, to be present, if he has structure and all, you know, as long as they both have good structure for their kids, you know, I think that's good, you know. I think that if you have 50-50, I'm just saying, it's a hard subject because every state is different, you know, every situation is different,
which
you know.
Which is crazy. No state should be raising our kids.
Exactly.
You know, at the end of the day, it needs to be, if we were in a relationship, me and you need to be able to communicate. Exactly. We decided to have this kid, not the other way around. And the government should not be able to dictate how much I see this kid, how much I should pay for this kid. As a father, you obviously have obligations to pay for certain things, but it needs to be in cohorts with me and you if that was the circumstance. But I do not agree with the government stepping in.
No, not at all.
Unless somebody's being a deadbeat or, you know, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe, that's why everything is like, you know, there's levels to it. You know, of course, there's like relationships that have been like 30 years together, you know, and then they, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, you know, we're not going to get, like, I can't talk about someone who's like been 30 years and then the woman stayed at home with the kid every single day and takes, you know, and then the dad's out working every single day, you know what I mean? Everything is different. I'm like a working mom, you know what I mean? So I'm someone who always took care of my daughter, supported my ex-husband, and, you know, just paying for everything, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like lawyers, you get lawyers involved, that you spend more money with lawyer, and then basically the judge, they just use their kid as a calculator, you know, they put your salaries in it and they're like, okay, this and that, and people play the system, you know. So I think when you come to values in kids, you know what I mean, I think if you guys both want to equally, you know what I mean, you know how much a kid it costs, you know, like not okay, you know, like okay, school, you know, insurance, food, you know, housing, and I think you guys can split a decent cost if you want to give. I don't think, for example, if I have so much money, I don't think it's my obligation that I need to pay more for my child because I make more money. If I don't want to give that type of lifestyle for my daughter, I don't think I have to give that lifestyle. You know,
Because
if
I
want.
wasn't brought up that way. I'm all about pain and suffering.
Yeah.
So I want my kid to go through the same pain and suffering because I was successful at it. I'll give them, the nice things every once in a while, but I like to teach my kids humility, like you mentioned earlier. Like, hey, like you don't need 5 full course meals. Like, here goes a sandwich. It's a nice sandwich. You got lettuce on yours. You got cheese. I didn't have all of that. I just had mayonnaise, mustard, and bologna. Like that. Yours is a little bit better, but I'm like, we can figure it out. We can figure out as parents, whether it's co-parenting, how to take care of this one that we created. And I think that should be the value. But I don't know what it is. I don't know why men or women can't just communicate anymore. I think we've lost that touch as a human being.
Yeah, well, I think the system definitely gives it like it makes it easier for people to take advantage of, They're always like playing the roles, and then they're always like coming up with lies, and then like using media. I think people use a lot of media. Oh, for sure.
They're going to eat that up. Whatever gets fed in the algorithm, your phone, like it's like, oh, they paid child support. Oh, I could marry somebody and divorce them and get half. Like, oh, seems like a solid plan if I'm broke. Which is crazy. Not saying it's right at all, but it is.
And then
crazy.
For the guys to be like, especially for like NBA, NFL, it's like that happens all the time with you guys. You know what I mean? It's like girls that want to get with the guys just to have a kid, just to be like, okay, I'm good for the rest of my life, And it's like, at least I grown up with my mom, my grandma, all of them were hard workers, and no one ever. My dad, they never told me to depend on anyone else, everything has been like hard worked, and it's like, I'm like, well, why don't you go and work? You know what I mean?
You said the key word. It's hard work. It's a lazy mindset when you choose to surrender all your principles, all your beliefs to be able to sort out a human being and manipulate a situation so you can get financially taken care of for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
I don't think that's...
Men, woman, and especially to use the kids for that. I think to put the kid in the middle, you know what I mean? It's like, that's the craziest part, And then for the court system to be like, well, as long as you guys are paying and we're getting money too, and the lawyers are, you know what I mean? It's like, I spend more than $100,000 in lawyers every year. Just on lawyers, And it's
like, my God.
And basically they told me that like, so right now I'm getting, he wants to go up on child support right now.
Go up on child support for what?
Like for more. So
for more money? Like why does he need more money to?
Well, because I guess as the more I make, the more he can ask for more,
What? Hold on. I didn't know this. Yeah. Why can they ask for more just because you make more money?
Because basically what they do is like if we have 50-50, so they take our salaries and then they see how much our salaries are. So if I'm making 90% of our salary and he's making 10%, because he says he makes minimum wage, so he makes 10%, I make 90, I have to pay this 40% to him, to maintain the lifestyle that my daughter has at both houses, so he could technically just stay minimum wage for until she's 18. And then the more money I make, so we go to court like in a couple, like next week, and then after my fight, for example, if in his mind, if he thinks that I made more, he can go back again. It's not even like you have to wait a whole year to evaluate or anything. You can come back as many times as you want, So it's just a system that gets played by men and women, and it's crazy.
I don't think that's fair at all.
It doesn't make you want to make more money,
No, 100%. Or you're gonna have to get paid through Pop's name moving on. You gotta build a trust in Pop's name and get paid through there. That might be the loophole.
Yeah, it's like,
my gosh, the fact that you have to pay more the higher you climb on the tree, yet somebody else can claim unemployment or not have any drive. And we talked about a lazy mindset.
Yeah,
you have to keep up with your child's lifestyle through the daddy's eyes.
Yes.
That's absurd. I do not agree with that.
And it's like, man, just be present, be present, be a good dad. But we both we both made this kid, we're both, so it's like, as long, what's a good dad. I know what's a good mom, be present, being like, take care of the bills that we need to pay like equally if it's 50-50. But I don't know why there's extra money involved. You know what I mean? Like,
it shouldn't be extra money involved. I think it's just the money that you believe is, he probably needs to take care of, your kids when they are over there.
Yes. Yeah.
And when they're with me, you already know they're taken care of. If you feel like you can't help out with the child, I think you should, one, still be present and still trying to figure out how to be able to financially take care of it. Especially if you're you're the bank right now.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
the kid should 100% be with you, and when you get in a situation, then you can 100% take over. But for you to take whatever percentage, which is a high percentage from me, to front the kid and your lifestyle, that's absurd.
Yeah.
I do not agree with it.
I mean, I know what they say is that, like, basically, well, of course the kid's gonna want to stay with you because you have more money, so you're gonna be able to provide more cool things and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's kind of like what they say, the judge and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That, like, it's like, oh, well, if you have more money, the kid's gonna obviously want to stay with you. You know what I mean? But if you have, the kid has to go 50% of the time to their house. You know?
And that's the judge saying that.
Yeah, that's
Which
their
is
mindset.
that's the point I'm getting at. I'm like, that's the judge saying that. Like, as parents, when we look at each other, whether I like you or we want a divorce and I hate your guts, all right, what's best for these kids?
Yeah.
Like, I'm making a ton of money. Do you agree with me buying this pony? You know, like, let's figure it out. Like, if I'm a millionaire and you're not a millionaire, should I buy X daughter or X son, you know, the pony or the drop top, you know, ride on car? Nah, I don't think we should do that because of XYZ. Or can you do this? But can you give me half so I can probably get them something nice? I think that's where the co-merit can exist. But
see, I totally agree with that.
Oh my
that's
gosh,
good.
the government saying that you can't do it because the other person would just be poor is just absurd.
Yeah.
Well, to move on from this subject a little bit, outside of fighting, what are you passionate about? What are you into? I know you mentioned bodybuilding. Is there any other things that you want to pursue or interested in? Poker.
Yeah, I've been really into poker recently. Really like the lifestyle. It's lots of fun. I did a little bit of the WSOP ones in June and July.
Yeah.
So I was like
How'd
trying.
you do?
I lost a lot of money.
Trying to keep that on the low.
Yeah. No, but it was fun. I gained a lot of experience. You know what I mean? I did a couple of the tournaments. I did one with it was like Hall of Famers. So and if you eliminated a Hall of Famer, you get the amount of the year that they got inducted, you know? So I was like playing with tons of different Hall of Famers of poker and just seeing, you know, like how they play.
It's like you said, when you walk in a UFC match and they all are defeated. It's the same thing in poker. You be like, wait, that's a pro?
Yeah.
That's a pro. He cashed for 20 million left.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta be on my P's and Q's.
Exactly.
I'm only playing aces.
Yeah, exactly. Only playing aces,
Only playing the good stuff. That's too funny. How did you get into poker?
Because of you.
Really? I was the first person. Oh, well, I feel honored now.
My ex, Antonio, he who's also in the UFC and plays poker. I would see him around the house and he'd be like, you know, playing, you know,
on the phone?
On the phone and all, and he'd be like, get excited sometimes. I'm like, what are you doing? And then I started getting interested into it, you know, like, oh, what is that? And he was kind of like trying to explain to me. But then, you're the one who got in contact with me, talked about Celebrity Poker Tour. And I was like, are you sure? I don't know how to play. You know?
Perfect.
So,
I literally said
that's
perfect.
what we need. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I totally fell in love with it. But definitely I think the vibe of just everyone together, you know.
For sure. I was about to say, how can you not even compare? What would you say is different about playing in a WSOP or WPT event compared to a Celebrity Poker Tour event?
I think WSOP, it's just everyone's pretty focused, you know? I mean, celebrity poker people are focused too, but they're playing a little bit looser, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in a WSOP, you can see, like, unless they're really professional, you can kind of tell they're, like, paying attention to, like, how you're moving, you know, if you have any you know what I mean? And you can tell that they're looking at certain things. They're kind of setting you up and stuff. I noticed that, like, for me as a girl, in celebrity poker, no one cares if you're a girl or a guy, you know what I mean? They treat you the same, you know? They're like, they'll try and beat you no matter what. But in the WSOP, they're like, oh, girl, she doesn't really know how to play, you know what I mean? And then, like, all of a sudden I'll win something, and then they're like,
oh, snap.
Yeah.
My chips are in front of her now.
Yeah, exactly. You know? So it's a little bit like more serious, but I think they don't imagine too many girls there competing. You know, I played there was Nemo, she was there. Yeah. So it was really cool. Yeah.
What would you? I'm trying to think. Matter of fact, I actually do. I have a favorite memory of you at Celebrity Poker Tour. What would you say your favorite memory is at Celebrity Poker Tour?
There was the one time that I was doing so good at the when we did one table, you know?
Yeah.
And then I got like too drunk, and then and I was like super excited, and I was like, I just didn't
was
see.
Was that the Ace King one?
Yeah, it was Ace King. So I felt like good, but I feel like if I was a little bit less, you know, like more.
Those drinks do be
Yeah,
flowing.
the mimosas, man. I didn't feel them. And then I was like, man, if I would have not drinking too much, I would have seen that, hey, there could be the sequence there, you know, the
for
straight.
for sure.
And I just didn't see it, and I couldn't believe it, you know. But I mean, that was a good experience just because it was so much fun, you know. I think I like.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I think I was choking out CJ Cool.
That was, I was literally about to say, oh, that was CJ so cool. I was about to say my favorite moment during CBT was when you and Haley Welch choked out Adrian Peterson, which I don't know if you guys know, that's like a Hall of Fame running back in there. And you could see his eyeballs about to pop out, the veins out his neck, like, oh my God.
I love him. I talk to him all the time. I'm like, hey, how are you going to be there next? But I'm like trying to show the difference between a choke, an air choke and a blood choke. He's like, oh, okay, that one, you know? And it's so funny.
How about I say, what is the difference between an air choke and a neck choke?
Yeah,
like,
so it's like you have the arteries, you know, and then you have your
your so are you supposed to, when you have that form around there, are you squeezing the side compared to squeezing the air? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So one, it's like you're choking on something, like water's in your throat, you know, and then the other one, you don't feel like you're choking, you feel like you're fine, you feel like, oh, I can handle this, you know, and you kind of can. People sometimes they flex
until you're on the ground
until you're sleeping.
Like,
it's more like a sleeping one, you know. So it's not too bad. I put a couple of people to sleep with that, you know. But I'm not allowed to choke out people all the time. It's a liability.
That's too funny. Too funny. Would you? I'm about to say, if you had to, I guess, in a perfect world, who would your perfect fight be? If you were able to get, I don't know who backs, you know, all these fights. Is it the Saudis, whatever big type of production? If you were able to set up your own fight, it was a title fight, who would that other person be across from you?
But another fighter?
Another fighter.
Yeah.
In their prime. Like, I'm going to put you in your prime, and you can, if you just said, I want to fight Ronda Rousey for the belt, you know, when she was at the top of her game. Yeah. Like, if you were able to strategically put together a fight, who would that person be across from you?
I mean, I think if I could strategically like pick a fight, it would be against Whaley at my best, you know.
For real?
Yeah, for real. I mean, she's just so dominant she was so dominant in the division, you know what I mean? And I feel like if I could beat her, and she's getting better too, you know, striker, but her ground game is getting so much better. So I feel like if that would be like an amazing fight if I can beat her. I would like to beat her.
That's fire. The fact that you go after somebody that's dominant, that you know is a competitor, shows, I think, your true competitive nature. Which is awesome. When all of this is said and done, what is Mackenzie Dern's legacy when you decide to put those gloves down and step out of the UFC rink?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I think just how people, I think what people like about me is like that they can identify themselves with me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like, I don't look like the superhero that does, like, I mean, you look at Whaley and she's just like, she looks like a robot, you know what I mean? It's just like a machine of how much she trains, you know. You don't think, like, you imagine, man, she doesn't seem like she has any like problems in life, you know. You don't think and I think my biggest thing is just people can see, like, I'm a funny girl, like, you know, daddy's girl. I'm, you know, come from,
it's the best girl.
Yeah.
That's the best
you know
girl.
What I mean? Like, a mom. I have like relationship problems. I'm like very honest. You know, people know my difficulties. You know, that I think are like regular things that most people go through, and then you can still go after your dreams and be like the best in the world if you want to. You know what I mean? So I think just. If my legacy can be, you know, I don't know how I can choose my own legacy, but I think just being yourself, you know what I mean? Being yourself. And I think that if that inspires people, then that could be my legacy, you know. It's like to go after your dreams, even with all your problems and all your difficulties, you know.
You talked about kindness. You've talked about humility. I remember seeing a ton of clips, I think, earlier in your career, and you're probably, I think, the same way, where you would go to opponents trying to shake their hand and they would not shake your hand.
Yeah, like 7 times.
which is absurd. You know, you're talking about a sport that, you know, you're supposed to respect your opponent. And I saw you fight after fight dominate every single one and still try and shake their hand, you know, out of the humility that you are and the nice and kind person you are. What would you say moving forward in this instance that they stopped wanting to shake your hand, what would you say to them, or would you just keep the same approach to the game? Like, I'm gonna still be nice. I'm gonna still be who I am, and if you like me, so what? If you don't like me, I don't care. I'm gonna still beat you up in this cage.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely. I think even in jiu-jitsu, sometimes I've had like some girls that like we're talking before the fight, and then after I beat them, and then after the fight, they're like, "Oh, well, you were talking to me before the fight, and you were getting me distracted," and saying that that's the reason why. And say because I was like, but we were both talking back and forth to each other. Like I wasn't like with your headphones, and I'm like, hey, talk to me. We were like. And for me, if they beat me too, I'm like, man, good job, good. You know what I mean? Well, I'm still gonna like them beating me or me beating them. So, yeah. I mean, unless they do something like the whole Conor McGregor and Khabib thing, where it's like you talk about family or like my daughter.
That's crossing the line.
Then even like the nicest person, you gotta put your foot down. But I mean, I know for the fighting world, it's marketing too. We get money with pay-per-view. So we need to sell it too at the same time.
No, for real. I just always wonder because I see them like you put your hand out, just okay, all right.
Yeah.
Like no, nobody want to shake my hand. I'm like, why are they doing this to Mackenzie? Like, all right, let me find out you're mean behind closed doors. Like every time I meet you, you're nice. Like you probably are a douchebag behind the closed doors. Like I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard. It's hard for you to want to like hurt someone, like and still be their friend. You know what I mean?
For sure. We go down the football field. I'm like, bro, I love you. We homies, but on the field, I am trying to kill you.
Yeah, it's not everyone who can do that. You know what I mean? Some people they need to like have a, have
switch.
Yeah, that they need to have some type of like coldness to be able to turn that on, But like me, I'm like you. I can turn it on and off like that. You know what I mean? Like just on the moment. But yeah, you definitely gotta focus. I mean, that fight I think I gave my hand a little bit too much though. At the same time,
you did. I was like, all right, kid, you gotta stop.
Yeah,
like, they do not want to shake your hand. Now you gotta fight. Now you have
exactly.
To fight.
But in jiu-jitsu, we shake the hands when we go on the mat, and then we shake our hands when we go off. It's like it's very common. We shake our hands all the time. So that was in the beginning. Now I shake probably like on the weigh-ins, and then that's it. Like,
you got the respect now. Now they're willing to shake your hand. Well, last question, because this has been awesome. People's champ or true champ?
I don't know. Can I be both?
You can.
Is it possible?
You can. If it's your answer. I'm not going to tell you which one is the right answer or the wrong answer. I've never been a champion at the as in the UFC or the NFL. So whatever champion you want, I'm rooting for you.
Thank you. No, I mean I'm going for true champ. I think I've been the people's champ for a while. I felt like the people support with me. Man, it's been 7 years in the UFC. So for the 7 years, I feel like people have really been supporting me. Just like they want me to win so bad. You know what I mean? And like when I've had some losses, they're all like, man, So I feel like me being like the true champ, they're gonna feel that it's their victory too. Like all of us together.
For sure. Well, before we exit this thing out, I want you to tell everybody where they can see you next. I know the fight's coming up really, really soon, and I think people should tune in because you're gonna be holding up the belt.
Yeah, I hope so. We're coming. I'm gonna be fighting in Abu Dhabi on October 25th. It'll be pay-per-view, ESPN. So make sure you guys check it out. And Celebrity Poker Tour too. November. When is it? November
19th. Yes, CPT Championship.
It's coming too. That belt's coming too.
Yeah, you get 2 belts in 2 months. Let's make it happen.
Yes. Thank you, Mackenzie. Thanks so much.